Hello folks, and welcome to a new episode of Tech News Monday, this time on a Wednesday. This is episode 8. Let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, at this pace here, I may just have to remove the word Monday off of the title and just keep it as Tech News. Don't you agree? Anyway, let's go ahead and start off with some Samsung news here. Now, it's been reported by actual legit sources, Android Police, Android Central, Sam Mobile, and other tech news outlet that the upcoming Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra is likely going to be powered by the Qualcomm's current flagship chipset, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, but an updated version of the SD8 Gen 2 here. And I know quite a few of you have been wondering whether the upcoming Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 series was going to be boasting a plus version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, something like a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 or Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus. But according to these leaks, and by the way, I need to highlight the fact that this is specific to the Ultra model of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 series, it is set to get a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, but an exclusive version simply because it's going to be overclocked, right? So an overclocked version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. And of course, like you already know, the Galaxy S23 series is actually powered by that same chipset, right? It is built specifically for the Galaxy S23 series. So the assumption here is that the upcoming series or the upcoming Samsung flagship tablets here will have chipsets tailored specifically to them. And along that same line with the Tab S9 Ultra, we are hearing that the battery size is actually set to remain the same. So 11,200 milliamp or a minimum of 10,880 milliamp. I believe that's what it is, which leads to believe that maybe there may not be such a drastic change in design on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra. I wouldn't be surprised if that also applied to the S8 and the S8 Plus, but so far, based off of these leaks, if everything is supposed to remain the same, that we may just see some very subtle changes, a little bit like what you saw when we went from the the Tab S7 to the Tab S8. There were very, very subtle physical differences between the two series. Now, with all of this being said, please do take this with a grain of salt. Now, I did some research to track down the original source, and there wasn't a lot of confidence there. Sure, it was said, but I just feel like it wasn't supported as much as I would like for it to be. But then, of course, the stories got pushed by these actual legit tech news outlets, so maybe there is something there, or at least for the time being. But anyways, next year I want to quickly brush over the potential coming of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 FE. I know quite a few people keep asking me, if I've gotten any news, if anything leaked in regards to the upcoming Samsung mid-range tablet. But so far, nothing new has come out, or very little has come out since that last video that I made on this particular tablet. And in case you missed it, back in November, there were some leaks on the upcoming Tab S8 FE, codename Birdie. That's what it's set to be called inside. And the leaks pointed to a model number SM-X506B. Now, it's supposed to be boasting an LCD panel along with an S Pen experience. Apparently that has been greatly improved. We'll get to see that. It's also supposed to be pushing a new chipset when it drops. It's going to be a MediaTek chipset, specifically the Companion 900T, with a few additional details. I have all of that in that video. I'll make sure that I link the video in the description if you want to go ahead and grab that. Now let's go ahead and switch gears here and jump onto the next Android here, this time around with Google, the upcoming Goolg Pixel 8 series. Now, many of you know this phone is not dropping until sometime in the fall of this year, but somehow we already got some major leaks on this guy here. Now, you can see that very high resolution renders of the Pixel 8 and also the Pixel 8 Pro have already been circulating the internet. And now we have a pretty good idea on these devices, or at least what they would look like in real life. You're gonna see that Google went ahead and kept that very same familiar look, right? As you would expect, but there are some physical changes here worth noting. You will observe a rounder look to the phone here, as the corners are no longer as sharp as what we had on the previous generation. Furthermore, you also notice that the company shrunk the size of this series when we compare against the previous one. So the design language, as you can see here, has remained the same, but with very noticeable physical changes on the body of the phones. There are additional changes and details, specs and things like that, and I will get to cover this, in the next episodes and so forth, but just wanted to quickly share what we have so far and kind of give you a glimpse of what, Google has in store for us. Also, Google may end up showcasing, the series here, these two phones, during their May event, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, they actually do that. All right, so let's go ahead and switch one last time before we close this edition of Tech News Monday. This time around, quickly brushing over the upcoming Apple iPhone 15. Now, I did cover this last time. The iPhone 15 is set to support USB Type-C port, but like I mentioned last time, if it's not proprietary, then Apple doesn't want to do anything with it. If they take something, they have to make it their own and make it very particular, to Apple before they put it out there in the market. And it seems like that's the case here with the upcoming USB Type-C port that we're gonna have on the iPhone 15. So it's not gonna be your typical, pretty open world standard or standardized USB Type-C port. Just like I said in the past, before they even added USB Type-C port on this one. Anyways, you guys may know the infamous "this device is not supported" message that you get prompted when you use something that is not made by Apple or that doesn't pass, Apple authentication process. It looks like that's going to be the case with the iPhone 15. And in fact, in a lot of cases, you may not even get the message. It just won't work with it. So don't just assume that any regular USB Type-C port will work with the iPhone 15. And with this being said, that means you can only use their stuff made specifically for the USB Type-C port that they made for their iPhone, or third-party accessories that do pass their authentication process. But guess what though? The European Union ain't having it. They are not having Apple dictate which accessories they need to use and all that good stuff. So apparently it's unlawful. It would be unlawful. I'm not sure what the details are, but the European Union apparently has a case against it. And this might turn into a pretty tricky situation for Apple, where they end up with only two options to go about it. Either, restrict the charging speeds to 15 watt or less everywhere, which would be kind of insane or ridiculous, or the other option would simply be to apply that restriction everywhere else except for the EU. Yep, that's what it is. In either case, we go ahead and wish Apple good luck on that. This would be it for this edition of Tech News Monday. I will have more in the next edition, or on the next episode. I will stay updated so that you are updated. Up until that next episode, of course, as always, stay safe out there.